Nicole Kidman has filed for divorce from Keith Urban after 19 years of marriage. The court papers show the actress will remain the primary caregiver of the couple's teenage daughters.
He's been dodging questions about her for at least 2 months. There was also this incident where somebody asks about her love scenes and he abruptly ends the interview and you could tell that he's angry.
And then what do you know? There are these videos that come to light that seem to show him being flirty with this Maggie woman on stage, who again, like we said, is only 25 years old, and changing the lyrics of songs, a song, The Fighter, that he wrote for Nicole Kidman, changing the lyrics, that were about her to something that was about Maggie.
Stop the press. The lies are exposed. Keith Urban's silence says everything. They were once the embodiment of Hollywood love. Keith Urban and Nicole Kidman, the dazzling couple who supposedly proved that fame and family could coexist. For nearly 2 decades, their story felt like a dream. Endless red carpets, tear-jerking songs, and smiles that seemed utterly untouchable. But behind that picture-perfect facade, time and crushing distance began to savagely unravel what once felt unbreakable. When news of their separation finally broke after 19 years of marriage, the world was stunned. How could something so damn strong quietly fade away? And now, at a reflective 58, Keith Urban has shockingly broken his silence. Not with anger, but with a quiet honesty that screams volumes. His recent agonizing words and music hint at deep reflection, maybe even pure regret. What really happened behind the glare of the spotlight? And what does Keith's calculated silence reveal about love, devastating loss, and the cruel price of fame? You have to stay tuned as we uncover the gut-wrenching truth behind this heartbreak. And do not forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell for more untold Hollywood stories where silence speaks the loudest. After what felt like months of silence, Keith Urban's stunning, quiet confession at 58 sent visible ripples right through Hollywood. During a recent tear-filled interview, he finally mentioned Nicole Kidman, not with rage, but with a dramatic pause that literally said everything. It was his desperate first public acknowledgement since Reuters officially confirmed their separation on September 30th, 2025, ending a 19-year marriage once worshipped as unbreakable. The highly emotional clip instantly went viral, with fans hysterically claiming they saw profound regret in his eyes, the obvious look of a man replaying every single thing he'd lost. Whether it was a heartbreaking confession or just a simple slip of raw emotion, that moment reignited the epic story everyone thought was finally over. But what Keith said after the cameras stopped rolling revealed far more than a single sentence ever could. For nearly 2 grueling decades, Keith Urban and Nicole Kidman looked genuinely unbreakable. The kind of couple that made love seem absolutely effortless. From glittering red carpet premieres to cute family strolls through star-studded Nashville, they appeared to have finally found the perfect balance between global fame and cozy family life. Their chemistry was undeniably electric. Their whole story, deeply inspiring. But behind those glamorous, staged moments, the relentless distance was quietly growing. Keith's grueling tours stretched longer. Nicole's intense filming schedules moved farther away, and the precious hours they once shared began savagely slipping away. The inevitable separation wasn't an explosive fight. It was a devastatingly slow emotional erosion tragically masked by polite fake smiles. According to People magazine, close friends revealed that the coming breakup wasn't a secret within their intimate circle. Keith had reportedly packed up and moved out weeks before the public official filing, clearly signaling that the life-altering decision had been slowly building for months. It was, as one distressed insider dramatically put it, a terrible turning point. The devastating moment when distance became a cold, hard reality. The pair handled it with a savage amount of grace. Publicly, they spoke only of cold respect and shared, calculated parenting. Privately, that pathetic fairy tale ending had already begun to dramatically fade. Their story started like a blockbuster movie, but real life rarely follows a perfect, expensive script. Yet insiders now confess the warning signs had been violently flashing long before he finally packed his bags. Behind the glittering lights, Keith Urban and Nicole Kidman were desperately struggling to keep their rhythm. His endless, ego-driven touring schedule and her film commitments turned their so-called love into a logistics nightmare. Nights apart became soul-crushing weeks, and weeks became agonizing months. What the public heard as a yawn-inducing, irreconcilable differences may have actually been quiet, burning emotional burnout. Rumors suggested arguments about brutal time apart and clashing creative priorities. Two ridiculously famous people chasing their separate dreams, but dramatically losing touch with each other. The love was reportedly still there, but the connection had completely devolved into a soul-sucking routine. Then came the disastrous interviews. In one now viral appearance with Ryan Seacrest, Keith was asked about Nicole, and his reaction was a screaming giveaway. He actually froze for an eternity, forced a pathetic, awkward smile, and quickly, visibly changed the subject. People magazine reported that his sudden, telling silence left fans buzzing about the dark secrets he was clearly holding back. The clip spread fast, with viewers hysterically claiming they saw the look of immediate regret in his eyes. Those closest to him insist it wasn't genuine anger. It was pure exhaustion, maybe even the crushing weight of guilt. The burden of 2 decades, of promises kept and shamelessly broken, was finally visible. And those terrifying cracks widened the very moment a new face entered Keith's sad little world. It started as a sweet duet, and explosively ended as a devastating headline. When 25-year-old country singer Maggie Baugh began performing alongside Keith Urban earlier this year, fans initially saw it as some simple mentorship, a washed-up veteran artist helping a rising star. But soon after, viewers noticed something absolutely strange. During one concert, Keith actually altered a lyric from a song he once wrote specifically for Nicole Kidman. What had been a gushy tribute to his wife was suddenly and publicly changed to reference his new guitarist. That single, calculated moment set off a furious wave of global speculation. According to People magazine, the change happened just weeks before the divorce became public, and insiders quietly described it as a turning point. Fans began frantically dissecting every single interaction. The forced smiles, the cute harmonies, the shared glances on stage. Social media exploded with claims that their on-stage chemistry seemed too natural. Though shockingly, no evidence has ever truly supported the idea of romance. Both Keith and Maggie have stayed deadly silent, never once addressing the rumors directly. Still, his baffling decision to stay quiet only fueled the intense curiosity. Was it merely a show of simple professionalism? Or a much darker story he definitely didn't want to tell? For a man once known for wearing his heart on his sleeve, that silence felt louder than any denial. But even as the internet pointed furious fingers, Keith's chilling silence screamed far louder than any denial ever could. Quick pause. If you're still with us, drop a like and smash subscribe. New Hollywood revelations detonate here before they even think about hitting the headlines. When Keith Urban finally slunk into those post-split interviews, his die-hard fans expected absolute clarity. Instead, they got a masterclass in hesitation. During one recent totally cringy radio chat, a host dared to mention Nicole's name, and Keith's confident facade instantly crumbled. He managed a brief, desperate smile, mumbled a short answer about new chapters, then furiously changed the topic completely. That tiny pregnant silence became one of the most embarrassingly replayed moments of his entire career. Clips of the interview spread like wildfire across every platform, with fans claiming they saw something desperately deeper behind his carefully constructed calm. Some shrieked he looked dramatically relieved. Others insisted he looked utterly broken. Either way, it felt anything but indifferent. Body language experts immediately pounced on his lowered eyes and subtle tell-all pauses. Classic signs of a man desperately struggling to find the right words without completely spilling the tea. While Keith has never actually confessed he regrets the end of his marriage, millions of viewers felt his emotions absolutely betrayed him. And get this, it wasn't just that one cringe-fest interview. In the few appearances that followed, his tone stayed eerily reflective. Quieter, more tortured, almost as if he's still frantically processing his own disaster. He didn't need to utter the words, "I regret it." The agonizing silence between his sentences screamed it for him. Because what he dramatically didn't say that day would echo through every single pathetic song he's released since. His music no longer feels like simple entertainment. It feels like a forced public confession. Fans swear they can hear the cold, raw heartbreak thundering between the chords. Since the separation, Keith Urban's sound has suspiciously shifted. Softer rhythms, reflective, aching lyrics, and melodies that feel less like smash hits and more like tragic memories. His latest performances carry an unmistakable dramatic ache, as though every guitar strum echoes a silent apology he wishes he could finally shout out loud. In one recent single, a truly haunting lyric caught everyone's feverish attention. "The silence after love is the loudest sound of all." Fans were immediately quick to connect it to Nicole, claiming Keith was finally expressing the bottled-up regret he can't or won't admit in interviews. Music critics noted that his newer work feels stripped down, raw, shockingly emotional, and absolutely confessional. Each verse seems like a private, tear-stained letter to someone from his past. Even his stage presence has changed. Gone are the flashy, upbeat smiles and wild tempos. Now, when Keith sings, he tragically closes his eyes, holds each note for too long, and lets the devastating silence fill the space. While he's never confirmed who inspired these tortured songs, the tone is unmistakable. Heartbreak, reflection, and forgiveness woven together in sound. For millions of fans, it feels exactly like Keith's sad, desperate way of reaching out without words, using music as his only available language of apology. But before those sorrowful songs, there was the genuine, devastating pain. A disastrous moment Keith still tragically calls his biggest mistake. Long before anyone breathed the word divorce, Keith Urban's pathetic private struggles were already violently shaping his story. Early in their shiny marriage, his battle with a rampant addiction nearly ended everything in a furious flash. Nicole Kidman, bless her naive, beautiful heart, intervened like a dramatic movie hero, organizing help and literally standing beside him when any sane person would have furiously walked away. He later famously and publicly called her his savior, finally admitting she gave him a second, undeserved chance at life and, tragically, at love. But even after the supposed recovery, the emotional scars never fully, truly faded. Insiders whisper that Keith constantly carried a quiet, crushing guilt. Guilt for the utter chaos he caused, the nights she spent tragically worrying, and the icy distance that inevitably followed. It wasn't raw anger that finally fractured them years later. It was pure, relentless exhaustion. The kind that slowly builds when a love is brutally tested one too many times. In subsequent cringeworthy interviews, Keith has repeatedly hinted that fame once made him completely lose perspective, and that his desperate redemption came at an incredibly high cost. Every career success afterward was a constant, cruel reminder of what he almost carelessly destroyed. Nicole publicly forgave him, but deep down, Keith harbored the frantic fear that her simple forgiveness would never, ever be enough. Those terrifying early struggles became the ever-present haunting shadow behind their love. Always there, lurking, even when things looked utterly perfect for the cameras. Some pathetic romantics believe that deep, festering pain resurfaced years later, quietly eating away at the hard-won peace they'd worked so damn hard to rebuild. They miraculously survived it once, but, shockingly, not forever. It's no wonder the word regret seems to follow him everywhere he goes, like a persistent, annoying ghost. Now for the juicy part. Whispers across every fan forum suggest Keith Urban isn't quite finished with the past. That deep down in his fragile heart, he pathetically wants Nicole Kidman back. It all started when eagle-eyed fans noticed subtle, calculated signs online. A deeply old photo of Nicole inexplicably liked from one of Keith's secretive, secondary accounts, a cryptic lyric from his brand new, unreleased song that dramatically read, "If I could turn time into forgiveness, I'd run right back to you." Within hours, social media completely exploded with frantic theories that Keith was trying to desperately communicate through his pathetic music, rather than his guarded words. Entertainment blogs instantly picked up the juicy story, claiming his recent emotional, tear-jerking performances in Nashville carried a precise message meant only for Nicole. During one packed concert, he paused for an eternity before singing a song once lovingly written just for her, softly muttering, "Some memories never fade." That single, dramatic sentence was all it took to send his deluded fans into a total frenzy. Still, no official boring statement from Keith has confirmed any attempt at reconciliation. Sources close to the mess insist it's just simple artistic expression, not some dramatic coded message. But the suspicious timing, his sudden change in public tone, his newfound dramatic vulnerability, and his fresh openness made everyone wonder if the fragile heart he once guarded was finally, irrevocably cracking. Whether or not he truly, desperately wants her back, the undeniable signs of intense nostalgia are now impossible to ignore. His songs sound less like entertainment and more like tragic letters he never had the courage to send. Melodies frantically written for the beautiful, iconic woman who painfully slipped away. Quick reminder, enjoying this tragic, gripping story? Tap like and subscribe right now so you absolutely never miss the next devastating twist behind Hollywood's biggest, most tragic secrets. And now, for the elegant, unbreakable queen, Nicole's side of the story. The baby girl hasn't unleashed a furious statement, hasn't blamed, and certainly hasn't descended into public accusations. Instead, she's chosen icy, perfect grace, a quiet, deafening acceptance that screams volumes about her strength. In a recent painfully brief interview, when asked about the divorce disaster, she simply offered the most serene, maddeningly calm quote, "Everything happens for a reason," a phrase fans furiously interpreted as both ultimate strength and ultimate surrender. Rather than publicly address Keith's pathetic behavior, Nicole has done the ultimate power move. She's thrown her gorgeous self back into work, returning to film sets with a renewed, almost terrifying focus and an impenetrable calm. Insiders close to her current orbit describe her as totally at peace, noting that she's been strategically spending time with family and her select group of close friends, miles away from the spotlight's harsh glare. Where Keith's messy emotions have erupted in desperate, tear-stained songs, Nicole's methodical healing has been broadcast through calculated silence. Her public appearances now radiate an unsettling calm, poised, smiling serenely, but with a subtle, tragic hint of melancholy that reminds her frantic fans she's still human beneath all that Hollywood elegance. While a few delusional fans still clutch at the pathetic hope for reconciliation, those closest to Nicole insist she's entirely focused on building a glittering future, not pathetically revisiting a messy past. She's finally learning to stand magnificently on her own after nearly 2 decades of being just part of a once-celebrated duo. And when she was daringly asked if she'd ever look back, her final word was a simple, yet utterly devastating blow. You never regret love. You just grow from it. Still, the more she definitively moves forward, the more Keith seems tragically, utterly stuck in the past's swirling vortex. Now, for the unspoken apology. There hasn't been a boring press conference, an official, predictable statement, or even a direct, boring quote. Just quiet, desperate gestures that somehow speak infinitely louder than any words ever could. Since the split became official, Keith Urban has quietly, miserably let his actions do the talking. Obsessed fans have noticed him performing at old, sentimental concert venues where Nicole once stood conspicuously in the crowd, pathetically liking nostalgic posts from their shared past, and performing his greatest hits, songs that were once written specifically for her, without changing a single, precious lyric. It tragically feels like a desperate, lonely man replaying the precious, forgotten moments he literally can't forget. One solitary image posted to his social media recently caught massive viral attention. A faded, artistic photograph of just a guitar on a chair, captioned simply, and heartbreakingly, "Some songs never end." Within hours, fans had violently flooded the comments section, utterly convinced it was his latest pathetic attempt to reach out to Nicole through digital whispers. His recent music videos also seem deliberately layered with tragic symbolic meaning. Blurry photographs, subtle shots of fading rings, and slow, sad fades that perfectly mirror the tone of his public heartbreak. Those close to the chaotic scene describe a new, unsettling calmness about him. A quiet, deep reflection replacing his usual frenetic onstage energy. He doesn't appear angry or bitter, just deeply, quietly thoughtful. And for a tortured soul who once lived through addiction, fame's crushing weight, and sheer emotional chaos, that sudden, unsettling quietness feels a lot like his painful, public healing. He hasn't said the desperate words, but his profound silence now feels like a loud, lingering apology. Not just a performance for Nicole, but a genuine apology finally given to his own wrecked self. And as his heart-wrenching songs continue to echo dramatically across the world stage, one devastating, clear truth finally emerges. This dramatic chapter may have officially ended, but the tragic, lingering melody is absolutely not over yet. Now, let's inject a healthy dose of reality and dissect what we know versus what's speculation. Before anyone dramatically throws more conclusions at the wall, it is absolutely vital to surgically separate what's tragically real from what is just pure, delicious rumor. Reuters officially confirmed the devastating separation of Keith Urban and Nicole Kidman on September 30th, 2025, finally ending their absurdly long 19-year marriage. People magazine later triumphantly revealed that Keith had already quietly moved out weeks earlier. A suspiciously slow private transition, rather than the dramatic, messy breakup we all truly deserved. Those three little facts, the separation date, the marriage length, and the early move-out, are the only verifiable, boring truths. Everything else, the desperate whispers of regret, the melodramatic coded lyrics, the supposed pathetic reconciliations, lives entirely in the murky, fascinating gray space between simple observation and glorious, unconfirmed speculation. Fans, bless their obsessive hearts, will always read a grand, desperate meaning into every soft lyric, every hesitant interview, and every random social media like. And while these frantic theories keep the story explosively alive, zero, absolutely zero of them have been officially confirmed by either Keith or Nicole. What we can say for certain, with an infuriating lack of drama, is that both of them have navigated this colossal mess with quiet, smug respect. There have been no public catfights, no spectacular insults hurled across continents, no entertaining spectacle. Just two ridiculously famous people choosing infuriating silence over satisfying scandal. Rumors, of course, will forever follow celebrities like a pack of starving wolves. But the real story here is one of irritating restraint and cold, calculated maturity. It's about two individuals tragically navigating their massive heartbreak without utterly destroying the gilded empire they built together. Still, every delicious rumor is born from a true, raw emotion. And sometimes, that emotion carries a frustrating trace of truth that keeps people desperately watching, endlessly wondering what painful, dramatic truths might still be tragically unspoken. Final reflection, the emotional close. Maybe regret isn't a loud confession you dramatically throw at the camera. Maybe it's a quiet, crushing despair you simply learn to live with. At a season 58, Keith Urban appears to be doing exactly that pathetic, miserable dance. His increasingly tragic performances, his hesitant public words, even his newfound, disturbing stillness all suggest a man still desperately trying to let go of the one thing that once grounded his chaos. Nicole Kidman, meanwhile, has chosen a far more polished, elegant path. Impenetrable quiet strength, a calm, poised presence, and a fierce focus on her future career rather than his messy past. Their initial story began like a flawless, perfect love song. Passionate, beautiful, and sickeningly full of hope. But real life rarely follows a perfect pre-written lyric sheet. Over the decades, distance, career pressure, and that haunting pain tragically turned their glorious harmony into permanent, cold silence. And yet, through all the mess, neither of them has ever spoken a single malicious word about the other. That cold respect, that annoying grace, may actually be the truest, most heartbreaking reflection of the massive love they secretly shared. Fans desperately ask if Keith truly regrets losing the iconic Nicole. Maybe he does. Or maybe he's simply now finally deeply grateful for the fleeting perfection they once had. Regret and genuine gratitude often live painfully side by side in the Hollywood hills, hauntingly echoing through the gilded spaces love once completely filled. Their chapter together may have definitively ended, but its unforgettable, lingering melody still tragically echoes. Soft, beautifully haunting, and utterly unforgettable. So tell us, do you think Keith still holds a deep, dark regret in his sad, lonely heart? Or has he finally, truly made a devastating peace with his past? Subscribe for more untold Hollywood stories where the silence often speaks the loudest.